So we're another stage out of lockdown. We're now back to work. The shops are open. Work-wise doesn't really feel any different than before. Shops just like it was before Christmas. It's a nice enough day. Gives me the opportunity to go and do some of my shopping for myself. First thing I want to do is go and spend some more of my vouchers. I've still got some money left on my voucher, and I need to buy a shaver for home. Great shaver for car, but it's battery operated. It goes through quite a lot of batteries. I used to have a really nice Panasonic, and I dropped it. I had it for about, I don't know, 11 years, and I dropped it a few years ago, smashed it to bits. It didn't help. But I've seen that Argus do a new wet and dry Panasonic, so I'm on my way to get one of those. Once I've done that, I'm going to go and have a quick look at Debenhams, because it's got about a month or less before it completely closes forever. Well, as I half expected, Debenhams had an enormous great queue outside, so I thought, nah, I won't bother this time. Of course, I did manage to get to Argus, and I bought the Panasonic shaver for home use that I wanted, rechargeable shaver. I will do a separate review of this, just not today. So I haven't used the shaver yet. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. I've not properly. I had a quick look to make sure it's all there, but I'm going to do a review. So when I do the review, I'll take it all out properly, use it properly. So I haven't had a use of it yet. What I have had the use of though is going back to work. We've had to take part in this COVID testing. So we've got the COVID quick tests. So we can test these before we go back, just to make sure we're okay. Once a week. Fine, nothing's come up with it. It's not the most loveliest thing to use, as you know, because you've got to stick it as far up your nose as you can and as far down your throat as you can. The other thing, I ought to be doing some of the stuff I didn't do when I was on furlough. So whilst I was on furlough, I didn't really get round to doing the stuff I should have done, and that includes things like fixing my calming bracelet. So you can see here, it's got quite a bit of stretch on it. So did say I was going to fix it before we went back to work. I will do that today, so I'm going to do that tonight with my box of tricks. Now, by box of tricks, what I mean is I've got my box up on the shelf. This is actually my sort of craft box, I suppose I'd call it. This is actually full of loads and loads of spare loom bands that I've still got. But it's also the stuff for doing this. So we've got a little needle thing like that. And then we've got that's the stuff that actually makes the bracelet, the wrist bracelet, the thread. So fixing this thing isn't quite as easy as it sounds. It is a calming bracelet and it calms you when you wear it, but actually fixing it and getting it back to what it should be is never that easy. One of the things that is very important is to get it in the same order. So all of these pieces here have to go on to the next piece, which is going to be this one here. I do have a spare thing here, should I need a new one, but I bought two of these at the time. So to get these onto here, you have to take one off that end and feed it onto the end of the new one and follow it all the way around until you've got the whole lot on correctly. This is only the third time I've done this. I've done this one twice before. You use the little bar. I mean, if you're used to crafting, you'll know all about this anyway. Little metal bit, like a hook thing. You go through the hole on the bead and pull it through so the string, or in this case elastic, comes through, and then you've got that on there. It's better doing it now whilst it's still intact. It's okay, but it has stretched, rather than it fall apart. You'll be out somewhere walking around and all of a sudden the thing falls apart and you lose all the bits all over the floor. You'll never get it back in the same order as originally in. And it's, for the fact it's a calming bracelet, for me it's very important it's in the same order. It is a lot more difficult than the other stuff I've got in that box. As I said, that box is for these. It's the loom band box, and these things are a lot easier to make than this is, but these things don't tend to last as long. This thing should last quite a while now with this new bit of elastic on it. Hopefully it will last probably about another year before I need to do it again. So eventually you end up with the final article all done, nice and tight this time. Occasionally when the beads are a little bit smaller or a bit tighter, you might have to use a pair of pliers. I have a lovely pair of parallel pliers. Being a watch guy, having a load of watch tools hidden away somewhere. The only downside to having watch tools is having watches that need batteries replacing on a regular basis, which tends to happen quite often. I've also picked up a 128 gig SSD drive, which I've got to put in a housing. MacBook that I use, a MacBook Pro, that's an i7 with a Fusion drive, 500 gigabyte Fusion drive as Apple call it. It's actually just an SSD drive, but Apple like to call it Fusion, so having an SSD for my clips and little bits that I use on my vlogs will be very helpful. In my videos you will see clips from movies, so I've been through a few movies and clipped stuff down, and I've also got sort of clips and things that I use like interludes from a website called Pexels, which I also put on. So I want to put those sort of clips that I download and organise into a folder so I can then use them in the next vlogs that I do. Okay, so when I'm talking about Pexels, Pexels basically is a website. This thing here, it allows you to download clips that have been uploaded by other people. So they're very, very good quality clips, but they're clips that have been uploaded. You don't have to pay for these. It's a community. So you see clips, these are the sort of clips you can use in movies. It's all very nice. But you can search for them, of course, so you can go into search videos and you want to put in hearts, say, oops, can't spell it, if I can spell it right, hearts, and you get a video with lots of hearts in. So these are these little clips and montages you can put in. So they're free of charge, click on one, shows you in its full capacity, and then you just download it. Now, the thing that it doesn't do is it doesn't always tell you what quality these are. Now, that's not a problem. I mean, you download it anyway. I've got mine in my new SSDs download folder. So, go into stock videos. These are your downloads. In most cases, these things are downloaded as 4K. Not always. There's a few like this one. This is the 1080. If you look at the info for it, it tells you here it's a 1920 by 1080. That's fine. And this one will say on it 3840 by 2160. That tells us that it's a 4K image. Now 4K is fine. I mean, I've got 4K with the Sony camera, I've got 4K with the GoPro, the Mavic Pro's in 4K, I can do 4K on my phone. I don't tend to do 4K because 4K is not that brilliant on YouTube. There's not much point really. YouTube scales everything down anyway, and when you've uploaded it, even if you upload it quite quickly, YouTube takes a long time to process anything that's been done in 4K. As I said, it looks quite good on the screen. You think, okay, it looks quite sharp, quite nice. But when you scale it down, it doesn't really look any different. To scale the videos down, I use a program I also use for my movie clips. This is One-Click Video Cutter Joiner. This is a really useful piece of software. Add a file. Take your 4K video. Add that. And then you've got a choice and how you output it. So in this case I want to output it as HD rather than 4K, so I just go into that one there. This will give me an output of 1920 by 1080, whereas it started at 3840 by 2160. So it cuts down the time to process it, and the quality's actually just kept the same. But I also use this program here for doing my movie clips. So if you see in my videos, I've got movie clips that I've taken out of films when I remember what film it's in. So sometimes I do forget. I have to go looking and think, hang on a minute. I can then add a movie clip. Now at the moment I've just got stuff I've already done, but I would normally get a whole film, try to remember where that clip is in the whole film. So it means going through a 2-hour film or whatever, trying to find out where somebody said something that I've remembered from the past from the film when I've seen it. Go to clip, and then you cut it using these things here to cut it to the point that you want. So normally it's only 3 or 4 seconds of clip that actually gets shown in the videos.
I said, God damn, what a rush! Woo!
I said, God damn! God damn!
Also, something else that's managed to get a little bit neglected whilst I've been back at work, which it's always going to be, is the Nintendo Switch and Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is one of those games that you really need to play it every day to be sort of true to the game. There's tasks you need to do, shaking trees, digging holes, swimming, doing odd bits and bobs, selling stuff, putting fossils in, all that sort of stuff you really ought to do every day, which of course you can't do when you're working. And sometimes if you're working late, I can't come back to home, don't get back till, or get back on the Switch at least to 10 o'clock at night, so I don't play it every day. It's one of those games, it's very much like The Sims. I mean, I used to like The Sims, I used to play The Sims quite a bit actually. Didn't play anything after that though, and this has sort of fulfilled that sort of need that Sims had. Obviously just in a more cartoony sort of childish sort of way really, but a more fun way. To let you do really stupid things, like at the moment I've got a hamster cage, and for some reason the ironing board set is on top of my hamster cage. Doesn't really make sense, does it? I actually found these the other day. I just noticed on eBay you can buy Tom Nook. You can actually even buy Timmy, and there you go, look, Tommy with his eyes closed, you can see here, whereas Timmy's got his eyes wide open. But I want Tom Nook because Tom Nook's a bit bigger. These are 20 centimetres. Tom Nook is 40 centimetres. So I quite like the look of that. So I'm probably going to order one of these to go in with my collection of cuddlies, just because I've got a little bit addicted to it in a way. But I think this will look quite cool on the shelf anyway.